Good evening, meteorologist DT here with our Wednesday, Wednesday evening update. And I think what I'm going to do for a time being as we head into the autumn is probably do these every Wednesday. I like doing it in the middle of the week. It's not as crowded work-wise, and it's easier to do during the evening hours. So maybe we'll stick with this format, doing it on Wednesday. So in this particular video update, we're going to be talking about tropical disturbance 95L, which is the one northeast of the Bahamas that's trying to get organized, and then the very big and impressive looking tropical wave that's come off the coast of Africa, 96L. So we'll talk about that. This here is the website in case you haven't seen it. And then, of course, the red arrows here show you where you can take a look at the different subscriptions. And also at the bottom, don't forget the try the 3-week newsletter as well. Only $5 a month take you off for the next 3 weeks. It's pretty nice to look at during these fall going into the winter season. All right, so this image here is from this afternoon, late this afternoon. I've highlighted the two big features here. Obviously, Nicholas is dead now over Louisiana. There are just some areas of showers and storms in the central Gulf left over from it, and also some rain in Alabama and Georgia. But for the most part, it's pretty much over and done with. 95L, that's the system there, circled in black off the Bahamas, the east of the Bahamas. It's very elongated. It's got a lot of problems with it. The models continue to show some kind of development here. I'm not really concerned with this as a big deal. It's something to talk about, but I don't think it's going to be a big deal. Now, the one designated 96L, that's a classic Cape Verde hurricane. It already has low-level circulation involved in it. You can clearly see that. That's got a potential. And then there's enormous African wave here, coming off the southwest coast of Africa, but it's coming off of it at a very far north latitude, so that one's going to go out to sea. So we can take a look at this now. This is the satellite picture here for 95L, and one of the nice things about this picture before the sunset, you can see right here, if you see a blue arrow, you can see the swirl. That's the low-level center. You can see the circulation right there. That a lot of the clouds all around it, but there is a closed circulation right there. So that's one of the reasons why the models are jumping on this and making it into a system, even though the cloud mass otherwise does not look that impressive. This is what the GFS is doing here midday. You can see the system on Thursday afternoon, a 10-12 low. Looks like it's a tropical depression at that point. Notice the big high over northern New York State. And the model takes it close to Hatteras, just to the east. This is now Friday morning, the big high over Maine. And then we have that southeast wind. So it's probably going to bring clouds and showers and break in the heat from New York City down to, I don't know, Norfolk, maybe Raleigh, Elizabeth City, that sort of stuff. So it'll provide a bit of a break in the heat with the easterly winds and cooler temperatures. But the reason why this is going out to sea is because of this trough here, the jet stream, very clearly pronounced, moves through. And now look at the black arrow here. You see how the winds are out of the west, going from west to east? So that's going to carry this system out to sea, no doubt about it, turning it sharply to the east. And we can see it. This is now Friday night going to Saturday morning. The thing is hooked 95L, which would be the O storm, would turn out to the east here very clearly. And Saturday looks like a pretty good day in the Mid-Atlantic region. And there it is, Saturday afternoon. Now it's actually looks a little stronger here, more developed. It's over the Gulf Stream, so maybe it's going to do something here, but we'll see. Like I said, it's not a threat to the East Coast at all, except maybe it provides some cloud cover and break in the heat. All right, if we take a look at the conditions, this here's the shear. Look at this. There's not a lot of shear around the system. Look at very light winds here, 5-10 knots, but look to the north. Very, very strong shear, 30-40 knots to the north and to the west. So it's a little Calden right now, where there's no big, wind field at all, which is helping the system percolate and trying to develop. But it doesn't last. You can see the shear tendency is increasing significantly to the north. So, I'm not even sure if it's actually going to develop with that much shear going on. If he's looking at that's 50 knots of shear at one point, 40 knots in here. That's a lot. So off the Hatteras coast, the North Carolina coast. So there you go. If we look at the models here, here's the European Ensemble, brings it up, hooks it to the right, never makes landfall. Seems very reasonable to me. And the GFS, this is the same sort of thing. Sharp turn to the right, exit stage right, and it's over and done with. Let's take a look at 95L. This is the big one. Look at this baby. Very clear low level circulation on the infrared, the visible satellite picture, the IR, everything. Water vapor, you can clearly see it. It already has banding features here, very nice. Very nice. This is, in my opinion, already a tropical depression. And this is the visible satellite picture. Again, this is a very impressive cloud mass of a decent size as well. I'm impressed. I got to tell you, the biggest, most impressive looking system to come off Africa this season. And this is the two systems here. There's the monster system coming off of Africa, but too far to the north. You can see the big purple area. This is the Cape Verde Islands here in the middle of the picture. Notice it's going to pass north of the Cape Verdes and then have to see. But 96L, that's to the southwest of the Cape Verdes. That's at a nice low latitude. So that one has got potential for development. This is a nice picture here from SIMS, the folks at University of Wisconsin. You can clearly see it. Very nice circulation. Again, notice the feeder bands already showing up around the system and to the south. And notice the latitude here. There's the red eye. That's 10 degrees north latitude. So it's at a pretty far south, maybe 11 or 12. It's out by 30 west. That's a really good position for an African tropical wave and to pose a threat to the east coast. Now, if we look at the shear, this looks great. Look at that. Very low shear all around the system. Ahead of it, to the north of it, around it, no real problems. So that looks good, I gotta tell you. Now the GFS Ensemble here, it takes it out to 120 hours. Once you get to 144 hours, it takes a sharp turn to the right. This is very common with the GFS and all the hurricane models beyond 120 hours out, 96 hours. They always favor things to the north. The GFS has a tendency, even the upgraded GFS, still to over amplify systems, to phase two different systems together, which really don't have any business being together. So it makes these bigger troughs, and that forces hurricanes to turn to the north. So that's what the GFS is doing. Now, maybe this is right. I don't think it is. I think this is complete bullshit. But that's the GFS is showing that. Now, it is going to turn north at some point. I don't know if it's going to turn north that far to the east. Notice it's east. It turns east of Bermuda. I'm very skeptical about that. Now, this is the European ensemble, and we'll want to look at these lines here. You can see the cluster, much less of a turn to the north, 144 hours out. Very clear, shows that. Now, the GFS from this morning, this is the 6Z Wednesday run. Look how close it came to Hatteras here. And then like does one of those parabolic curves. This is what's known as a slot hurricane. There is Bermuda. So it passes between Bermuda and the Carolina coast, a slot hurricane in the western Atlantic Ocean, okay, riding the slot. That's what that looks like. That's typically called, that's what the old timers used to call it, a slot hurricane. Now this is the 12Z GFS. It brings it up there. You can see it away, to the south of Bermuda. And this is now the 12Z run. This is valid for September 23rd into the morning of the 24th. Although, admittedly, that's a long way out, I grant you. But there's the system now passing to the west of Bermuda. Again, another slot hurricane. Look at the enormous high over Pennsylvania protecting the east coast. So it's going to make a lot of storm tide, rip currents, and breezy conditions because of the pressure gradient. And then, boom, it takes a sharp turn to the right and goes back out to sea. It goes right over Bermuda, if you can believe that. Now, I don't know if it's going to do that. But the point is, the couple of fronts, the big high coming in, the upper air pattern does not support this system approaching the East Coast in this manner. That doesn't mean it can't be a threat to the East Coast. We're just talking about in this particular manner. Okay, there are other scenarios here to take a look at. Now, this is the GFS from the afternoon GFS here, and you can see what's going on. Now, this system here in the right, upper right corner, that is 96. That's 95L, whether it becomes the O storm or not. So you have that system. Then you have 96L here, which probably is a hurricane, and then you have this bit of a ridge here over North Carolina and Virginia. See that? So this would come tend to protect the mid-Atlantic coast, if this is correct, if that's on the GFS. So that's one of the reasons why it's forced to turn sharply to the east, because there's a ridge here over Virginia, North Carolina, which goes, no, swiper, no swiping, and it's out to sea. It's just not going to penetrate the ridge. Now, this is the GFS here for the 26th, and what happens is, if we go back, take a look at that here, that's the 25, and this is the 26. Now this short wave coming out of Western Canada races across Ontario into Quebec, and you can see it now gets an alignment. So you see what the GFS is doing? It's taking this short wave over Eastern Canada, Labrador, and somehow or another it wants to phase it with 96L into this big long wave trough in the West Atlantic Ocean. This is bullshit. These two features are nowhere close to being each other, but this is what the GFS is doing. So there you go. It's just wrong. Now this is the European solution. This is the 12Z run. valid. Again, this is Wednesday, valid for the afternoon, the evening of the 22nd. We also have the ridge on the East Coast, but notice there's a much bigger gap between 95L and 96L. All right, and then we have this big upper low, this big trough in the plain states. And what happens is the trough really amplifies here. This is September 24. Look at this monster trough. This would be a frost potentially for the plains in the Midwest if it shows up on the, before October. A big trough here, an enormous ridge in the West Atlantic Ocean. Now this is an interesting scenario. This is from this morning, Wednesday morning. Now look what happens here. We have the trough. You see the purple line there? Look at the big ridge in the Western Atlantic Ocean. So 96L has no place to go but along the East Coast. If this scenario is correct, this is 222 hours out, folks. So let's not bet the kids' college fund on this one. All right, it's just one possibility. So this is a viable scenario. It doesn't mean it's correct. It is viable. It is something worth looking at. And the updated 12Z run, 228 hours. This is for, again, the 24th and 25th. This is Friday afternoon. The trough here is a little short, is not as deep. And what happens is you now have a cold front moving through the Ohio Valley. So instead of plunging down to Louisiana, the trough is pushing east into the Great Lakes, and that forces the 96L to turn out to sea much sooner. So if the trough is deep, it pulls it, allows this ridge to strengthen, and it pulls 96L closer to the coast. If the trough is progressive and moves into the Ohio Valley, 96L gets kicked out to sea. So those are the different possibilities here. This is just speculation. None of this is a forecast. I just want to bring to your attention to show you how, a medium range forecaster dealing with this sort of stuff, what you want to do is you want to anticipate scenarios. The old joke says that the worst thing a meteorologist can do on a daily basis is walk out of his house and put his hand out at the front door, look at the sky and say rain, because that means he wasn't aware of what was happening. So in this case here, when you're dealing with the extended, what you want to do is you want to build scenarios. You want to think outside the box of what could happen, the different possibilities, so that way you can follow the trends as we get closer to it and see what's going on. This is meteorologist DT from Weather Risk. I'll see you on the Twitter page and on the Facebook page.